welcome to another exciting edition of Color Me Poetry this evening. At this time, I'd like to take this time to welcome my good friend and my guest in the person of Lori Tsang. And she's been with us before, and it's certainly wonderful to have us here with us on Color Me Poetry again. Welcome to Color Me Poetry, Lori.
Thanks, Danny. It's great to be back. I think it's been about a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, like a year.
Something like that.
And we did a whole hour. We just kicked it.
That's true.
Yeah.
We did two
it's
sessions,
great to have
I
you
think.
back to come and share with us.
Good
What have you
to
been
see you
doing
again.
since we talked last?
Well, I've got a new book out. Came out in May. It's called Passages and Totems. So it's, primarily I've been working on that. I'm also, I think we talked a little bit last year that I was working on a manuscript of poems written in the voice of Malcolm X. There's about 35 poems in that series, and I've been, doing some more work on that. This is kind of a long-term project.
Before we, of course, want to get to the Malcolm piece, because, matter of fact, last time you were here, we ran out of time and we didn't really get a chance to talk
we sure did,
or share the Malcolm. Well, we did talk about it. We didn't get a chance to read it. But I want to talk about your book and how the book came about, and particularly how the title come about.
Okay. Well, this is my second collection, and it had been a couple years since, my first books, I put together my first book, Circumnavigation. So I was, just looking at some of my work one day. I was thinking about, it's about time to send some poems out to some journals, and just assessing what do I want to send out, what do I think is ready, and I started thinking, maybe it's about time to put another collection together. And I began to see, thematically, the different sections of the book coming together. And, it's always nice to have something at readings to give to people. And then you start, not liking your old work as well and thinking you want to have something to give them that reflects more of where you are, right there in your development. So
it's good to have something to give, but it's better to have something to sell. I'm a Capricorn. We like money,
Well, I think, it's important to have something to give to the community. But also, I think it's important to, for the community and for yourself to understand that what we do as artists, as writers, has some value.
Yes.
And, we are a very commercial society,
That's
and,
true.
a lot of times just being able to put that dollar amount on what we do is important, for people to recognize that there is a value.
And people ask you for certain poems.
That's true. People certainly do. So, I primarily, I think, I saw my work, reaching a certain stage. And I just enjoy the process of having something, having a little something to show for yourself.
What do you go through when you're putting together a book?
Well, as I'm writing the poems, I don't, except for the Malcolm series, I don't necessarily think I'm going to write about this or I'm going to write about that. Generally, the work just comes to me as it comes. And then, maybe after a certain period of time has elapsed, it seems to be, like a two-year cycle so far. It's been 2 years since my other book came out. I kind of start making an assessment of, by that time I've gathered, a body of work together. I have a certain, stack of poems, and I can look at them and see, what have I been doing? What are the themes? What, how am I writing?
Organizing.
How am I writing these days? That's different than the way I was writing before. What do I tend to do in my work? And I see them, I think
growth.
You seem to, you see your work kind of coming together in certain styles, certain themes, the way you structure things. You see things coming together, and you start to see that as far beyond the individual poems themselves, the poems themselves are coming together as a work that you can make into a book, because a book is more than just a random collection.
Yeah, a lot of times, when I do a book, it's like a concept that I have. I have a CD coming out, and it's entitled Soundtrack to a Dream. But there's certain pieces that I wanted in there because I wanted to say certain things, whereas other pieces I left out because they weren't appropriate for what I wanted to say at this time.
Exactly.
And it's a process of elimination also.
Yeah, that's right.
Just eliminating certain pieces. How does the writing process work for you? Do you write at home? Do you write on the bus, at the park, anywhere? Or when does ideas come to you? You write early in the morning, late at night? How does it come for you?
Things really come to me at different times. They could come to me early in the morning is a very good time. when you're just starting the day, you know, when you're still maybe not totally alert.
Conscious.
Your subconscious is, you know, still, you know, kicking in there. Early in the morning, late at night. But it could happen, you know, on the subway, walking to the subway. You know, a lot of times things will just happen while I'm walking somewhere as well. So it could really happen just about any time.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, because sometimes I have people who say, well, oh, I write on the train, you know, or I write early in the morning, or some people write in seclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it seems to be different for everyone.
For different money. Yeah. Well, let's share a piece, anything of your choice that you'd like to share, and give us a little history, if you will, of the piece.
Okay. Well, maybe what I'll do, since we were talking about the process and how things come to you, is I'll read a piece that I don't know where this came from, because a lot of my pieces do come from my actual life. They come from, you know, my relationships with family or friends or actual experiences. The piece that I think I'm going to read now, it's not from my actual experience. I can't pinpoint and say, oh, this is, you know, this happened to me, or this is about, you know, my aunt so-and-so, or my mom, or whatever. It came to me, and I'm sure that it's coming from some feelings that I have inside, but I can't pinpoint that it's come from a concrete experience. So, and sometimes that's the way things work.
What I wanted to ask you is, do you find that sometimes ideas come subconsciously?
Absolutely, and that must have been what happened here. Okay. I think that must have been what happened here.
Okay.
But this piece is called Undertow. You were conceived on a night like this. A full moon drifted between clouds, filling my dreams with light. I shifted in my sleep, backing up against your father's body, curving around me like a string of islands waking in a summer storm. In the stillness afterwards, we lay together quietly, his long fingers stroking my belly, the way he would one day caress the head of his firstborn son. You were a big boy this year, old enough to run to the corner store by yourself for the forgotten eggs, a loaf of bread, a quart of milk, a 5-minute walk that became forever, and always the crimson stain spreading beneath your body, the broken eggs, the wasted milk. Your father and I are without tongues tonight. Our eyes, brimming goblets we hold away from each other, careful not to spill a single precious drop. My body curls into a knot, aching. Fingers squeeze me too hard and not hard enough, and still sweet sap trickles through grief, split open like an overripe plum. Your father gathers me up, folding me against his hunger, and we push and pull at each other, flesh wailing hard against flesh, as if our desperate howling could bring you back into this world.
That's deep.
Thank you.
That's something. I mean, what was the inspiration? What made you? Was it just sensation? Just subconscious?
Like I said, I really do not know where this poem comes from. I do not have children. You know, I mean.